Our next stop is Lome, Togo, on the Atlantic Ocean. Traffic in Lome is interesting. These entrepreneurs are hiring out their Chinese motorcycles as taxis. We check into the Mercury Sarakawa Hotel, our home for the next 2 nights. We have a view of the pool and the ocean. We learn that our first sightseeing stop is the fetish market. I don't know what to expect. The fetishes here are voodoo talismans, elaborate statues representing voodoo gods, and dried animal heads and other parts sold for medicine and their spiritual power. Practitioners are on hand for consultations to make sure that you get the right fetish and it's properly activated with the right incantations. This place was repulsive at first, when you think about all the animals that died to stock the inventory. But on the other hand, these people revere the spirit that is in the animal, manifested as a voodoo god. More than half the population of Togo, over 2.5 million people, practice voodoo or other animist religions, and probably some of the other half hedge their bet with a fetish or two. The next stop is Togo's monument to its independence from France in 1960. Both here and in Mali, the people are very negative about their time as a French colony. It's Sunday, so it's appropriate that we go to church. And since voodoo is the predominant religion in Togo, we go to a voodoo church. We sit in the back. I record the service and take some pictures. Voodoo is an ancient religion practiced by 50 million people worldwide, with about 60% in Benin, Togo, and Ghana. It's also one of the world's most misunderstood religions. The music is continuous. This man seems to be leading the singing, accompanied by drums and the beating of wooden paddles by the congregation. The central feature of voodoo is divine possession. The priestess act as intermediaries to summon the Loa, or gods, and help the Loa depart when the possession is over. When a person is possessed, they enter a trance-like state with no consciousness of reality, and the Loa's character manifests in their movements and expression. The woman on the left has a real voodoo doll at her waist. It represents a child who has died, and she will continue to nurture her child's spirit through the doll. The rituals are as elaborate as any Western church. The service reminded me of a Pentecostal service centered on people having a personal spiritual experience. Another universal experience. The kids are bored with it all, just like I remember being. With the voodoo rhythms still in our heads, it's time to go back to the hotel for a walk down to the beach. A traditional Togalese dance troupe entertains us before dinner. We learned that there is a long tradition of puppetry in West Africa. Finale, the dancers recreate the Egungun festival. The Egungun in Yoruba tradition is the collective spirit of their ancestors. At the festival, the dancers in elaborate costumes are possessed by the spirits of their ancestors, the Egungun. The Egungun, in the form of the dancers, act out the good and the bad behavior in the village since their last visit, and encourage behavior more befitting of their descendants. In the morning, we head back to the airport for a flight to Northern Togo. We land at Togo and are greeted by a large dance troupe. We are in Northern Togo to visit the Tomberma People. In the 17th century, these people were under attack by slave traders. Their defense were castle-like compounds called tatas, built of straw, clay, and wood with millet stalk thatch. The tatas are located an arrow's flight apart, so attackers are caught in a crossfire from the strategically located tatas. The Tomberma are subsistence farmers, growing millet, corn, and yams, supplemented with a few goats and cattle, as well as hunting and fishing. The village all turned out for us, with a little music and dancing. In this game, one man swings a long-handled whip at another who has to deflect the whip with his bow. They say this game teaches courage. It's obviously not an easy life. Next, we are visiting the Somba people. We check in with the gendarmerie as we cross the Togo-Benin border. The Somba's tatas are very similar to the Tambermas for all the same reasons. The Somba haven't tried to exploit the few tourists who venture this far off the beaten path yet. But we have a very good guide who shows us around his village. Look closely at our guide's face and the patterns on the tata. His family marks their homes and family with the same marks. The tata's turrets are granaries for storing the millet harvest. The open area on the second floor is the living room. The thatched roofs are the granaries and the sleeping rooms. The tatas are animas. These are goat skulls over a doorway that protect the tata from evil. This little girl and her sister were off to get water. The kids of the village turned out to say goodbye to us. Can you believe we did all that before lunch? The Clean Plate Club at our lunch stop appropriately named the Somba Tata Hotel. Chris endorses the local beer. It wouldn't be TCS without a little local entertainment. We spend the rest of our day retracing our journey, and we're back in Lome for dinner. After breakfast, we're out in Lome's rush hour to get to the airport. It's been an interesting visit to Togo and Benin, but we have more places to see. Here we've added real voodoo dolls and a brass figurine to our souvenirs.